The player who accumulates the most victory points by the end of the game wins the contest and becomes the new Goblin King. Victory points are acquired by recruiting and stacking goblins on your platforms. To begin, each player shuffles their starter deck and draws 5 cards to form their hand. Randomly choose a player to go first, put the first player card in front of them, and start the first round. Rounds happen in the following order. First, flip over the top card of the event deck and resolve any flip effects. Then the player with the first player card takes their turn. After that, all other players take their turn in clockwise order. During your turn, you play cards from your hand to build up your loot, recruit, and attack powers. Any powers become available the moment you play the card, and all powers of the same type are pulled together. You then use those powers to purchase cards from the shop, recruit goblins from the crowd, and attack other players' goblins. You may do these in any order. During your turn, you purchase cards from the shop as long as your loot power is greater than or equal to the cost of the card you are buying. When you purchase a card, immediately place the purchased card in your discard pile, and then subtract the purchased card's loot cost from your loot power. When a card is purchased, immediately replace it by flipping over the top card of the shop deck and placing it in the shop lineup. You may purchase as many cards from the shop as you want, as long as you have the required loot power. You may recruit goblin cards from the crowd as long as your recruit power is greater than or equal to the cost of the card you are acquiring. When you acquire a goblin card, immediately place it on top of one of your platforms, and then subtract the goblin card's recruit cost from your recruit power. When a goblin card is recruited, immediately replace it by flipping over the top card of the crowd deck and placing it in the crowd lineup. You may recruit as many goblin cards as you wish, as long as you have the recruit power to acquire them. Your platform area has 3 platforms to stack goblin cards on. When you recruit a goblin card, you must immediately choose a platform and place the card on top of the chosen platform. Example, you recruit an Honorary Octet. You must now place it on top of one of your 3 platforms. If you have any attack power, you may attack a goblin card this turn. First, choose any goblin card on a platform with a defense less than or equal to your attack power. That card and all cards above it on the platform are trashed. You can only attack once per turn, even if your attack gets negated. When you play an action card, you immediately gain any bonus powers the card may have. You may also execute the card's actions at any time during your turn. Once you start an action, you must resolve it completely before you can do anything else. Actions can only be performed once unless the card states otherwise. Once you are done with your turn, take all the cards you played, as well as any remaining cards from your hand, and put them in your discard pile. Then draw from your deck until you have 5 cards in your hand. If your deck runs out of cards while drawing, shuffle your discard pile, place it face down, and that now becomes your new deck. Continue drawing from the new deck until you have 5 cards in your hand. The player to the left of you now starts their turn. The final round starts when the closing ceremony event card is flipped over. After all players take their turn during the final round, the game ends. Add up your victory points, which is based on the total victory points of all the goblins in your platform area, and document them when the following happens. The last morning round ends. The last day round ends. Once the final round ends, add up your victory points one final time and combine it with the previous 2 totals to determine your final score for the game. The player with the highest final score wins.